I'm such a lucky person here. Born in Nepal, brought up in Nepal, and to be again here in the festival time in Dasai and learning every bit of new thing from you. I would like to extend gratitude to all of you, including this mountain in the background. That is the place, that is the mountain that I used to see when I was a little boy. And contemplation used to happen naturally when I used to see this mountain, sky, clean air, bird sounds, and so on. So all of us who are born and brought up in Nepal, somehow we have experience, and that is also, I believe, in our gene. Going directly to what I'm going to talk about, why we need contemplative education for our personal transformation in rapidly changing planet with many, many disorienting dilemmas. Let me go directly to tell you what is contemplative education. Picture itself, talk about it. In Nepal, when I was seeing my mother worshipping trees, my father bowing toward the land, I think they used to have that contemplative mind. Somehow, I became corrupted, learning very many theories, theoretical framework, and so on. But here it is. As His Holiness Lumtang yesterday was telling that tree is our lungs. Trees are also, in a way, if you look at the poetic kind of creativity in Nepal, tree is also a kind of symbolic representation of our romanticism and so on. Our great poet of Nepal, who became 100 years old now, he writes, Chautari tala pipralako bota naulo lagaun, Chahari ko tala tira basi gita euta magaun, Ahi kaile pani nasakine chaita baisakha mero, Lai kaile pani nasakine priti naulakha mero. Right? But I have to learn other language, and what contemplative education is, which is here in English language. It is a philosophy of higher education that integrates introspection, deeply examining your thoughts, feelings, sensations, because there are so many conflicting sensations, conflicting things are going on these days. Now, a considerable effort has been put how to bring them to higher education. But for us who are grown and who have evolutionary history in this part of the world, contemplative education is not a new thing. It is both ancient and in the Western context, it is a re-emerging innovative approach to higher education. Because, as I said, a world full of crisis, disorienting dilemma at planetary level within this one. In our part of the world, in Indo-Gangetic plain, which was the hot spot of contemplative learning, because in Indo-Gangetic plain, agriculture was evolving and evolved fully 10,000 years back already, because of this fertile alluvium soil in this belt, which allowed to produce grain, and when your stomach is peaceful, then you can contemplate on something higher. So this Rishis of Upanishad and later on, they have given this knowledge and this education long ago. Even if you examine the curricula of those ancient universities like Takshashila, like Nalanda, almost 60% part was around and about contemplation, to know who we really are, and 40% was around skill. But to the Western audience, it came much later, and I would like to really give my best gratitude to this person who is concept as a re-emerging, I would say, based on the three modes of inquiry. Francisco Varela, who was a Chilean philosopher, of course he was basically a biologist like me, but later on he really brought a kind of contemplative education combining three modes of inquiry. We all know that, for example, let's say third person inquiry. Here we try to read papers, publish paper, reference paper, and also try to understand objective understanding, and of course there is also emphasis on critical thinking. And this is of course the gift of the Western science tradition. There, the emphasis is in known aspects that you can see in the library, you can see in the internet, referring paper, and there you have to use only a conceptual mind. But there is something in the ancient time, they have taught us how to use non-conceptual mind. Okay? So, the second one is the second person inquiry. Again, to summarize what is there in English, I was in the mood to give some sayari. There is a Hindi sayari which says, धूप में निकलो, घटाओं में नुहाकर देखो, जिंदगी क्या है किताबों को हटाकर देखो. You go to the real world and have interaction and learn from there. Okay? The most important for me, which was lacking in my education, in many others, is the knower aspect. Who is really the knower? Myself being born and brought up in Nepal, my knowingness is different from those who are born and brought up in Norway, for example, where I live and work. So there, the inquiry into own experience and awareness, personal insight, discovery of wisdom, what reality is as it is, and with many contemplative practices. So in the Western tradition today, these three, particularly in Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, where I had been a visiting scholar in my sabbatical for almost 9 months now, they of course respect all mode of inquiry, but they bring this first person experience, the knower aspects, which was really lacking in our education delivery and so on. And as I was telling again, I repeat, in this world with disorienting dilemma, climate change is happening. I'm basically a natural scientist. If climate change doesn't happen, I lose my job. In this changing environment, it's even more important, because if you think that this anthropogenic climate change is a human construct, we are also able to deconstruct that one. Let me bring right away to my country again, Nepal. From satellites, it look like this, and the changing environment, you can feel in this kind of third pole in the Himalayan region even more profoundly the changing environment and so on. IPCC says that these extreme events, extreme weather events, they were coming every 22 years in the beginning of this century, will be coming every 2 years. Every 2 years, that is the projection. And you see in Nepal, you can see even last year in monsoon, what kind of flood, this is other kind of things. When I was also a boy in Nepal, when I was going to school, we have to cross the river that way. And later on, when I finished my schooling and I came to Kathmandu, it was very serene, very nice. Still that one I can remember vividly, this kind of Kathmandu. Even when I left Norway 31 years ago, it was really good. But now it has become like this, like a cloud, haze, and people have learned to live with that, even enjoying and taking photographs. Now Kathmandu became Dustmandu or Dhulumandu. And we know that from the science, because we have been bringing 13 master programs in Nepal. Some of them are focused on environmental science. We are teaching the mechanism of different kind of pollutions and so on. But we are not very successful in really tackling problem at their source. Look at in Kathmandu where we breathe every day. This is the particulate matter which is less than 10 micrometer diameter size. these are there in Kathmandu, and the FAO says that the air pollution in Kathmandu up to 100 times bad for health according to FAO projection. Now, I was talking these things to my guru, His Holiness, who is here. He says, boy, pain is inevitable, that pollution will be there, but suffering is optional. Wear your mask and find the source of the problem and correct it at their source. Where is the source of problem? One of the source of problem is in education. My education journey was focused on skill conformity, achievement and so on, but not on any aspects on personal transformation. My education only allowed to use some kind of thinking brain, but nothing about the feeling brain or limbic brain, I would say. This is my photo when I was a little boy, when I came from the Taplejung again, back to my mountain. And then when I reached 6th grade, I was supposed to study some value-based education, Sanskrit and so on. They wiped out that one from entire curricula and introduced something called vocational education, and I had to learn poultry farming. This is the leghorn. I learned the name. I've never seen this chicken, you know. I never had to even study my own indigenous chicken and so on. I used to memorize names like New Hampshire, name of chicken, Plymouth Rock, how many eggs. I've never seen the incubator, but I had to memorize all these things. So I was skillful in memorizing those kind of things. And later on, when I finished my intermediate education from Nepal, I had to go to India, and afterwards to Norway for my master. Then I had to study soil science. So difficult, long name. And even other scientists, agronomists also feel uncomfortable to memorize these different kind of soil types and so on, which are developed by USDA and Canadian system of soil classification, right? So, all in all, I became skillful in one thing, just memorizing the thing, but not knowing the reality what was there in my country and so on. And along the line, I also learned something called conformity. What is written in English language by Western, well, that's science and that's good. And what is here is not good, that's not science and so on. Along the line, last 31 years in Norway and being a professor of international environment and development studies, I was leading a big national level project in Malawi in Africa. Malawi is materially a very poor country, but look at how we have to test the colonial memory before every meetings and so on. Okay, it's the conformity in every level. And being an educated person, I also learned to become judgmental. We versus them. Educated versus rural poor, you see. That comparison, that kind of mindset, and as Mother Teresa says, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. So, all in all, education, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an ethnography or autobiography, so I was talking about myself. Now, we know that environment changing, and Norway is one of in the front line advocating the global environment. And back in 1989, when I was doing my PhD, I had all sorts of energy that time and enthusiasm. We were developing a new way of measuring three greenhouse gas simultaneously, and it was a media coverage. To make my story short, of course, I was skillful in understanding the mechanism of a problem, for example. And we published in a very top journal that a soil scientist could imagine at that time. All different kind of publication, I will not go through to this audience. And then later on I brought that knowledge to Nepal. All in all, when I was PhD student, I was using this kind of instrumentation. But we don't use this one because in the last 25 years, the technology is very different. Our postdoc and PhD use this kind of machinery now. So So there was a transformative change in technology when it comes to measuring greenhouse gases and understanding the mechanism problem. But we are not able to bend this curve. CO2 is increasing. Every year is a new record high. Nitrous oxide is increasing. And I use all of my time in teaching all this different kind of socioeconomic trend and all system trend. But it seems like there was a persistent gap between the aspiration and reality. There is a one aspiration, we are producing human capacity to really deal that one. And every year, if you see 2017, 18, there is a persistent gap between the aspiration and reality. Because it's environmental change, particularly climate change, is a hyper-complex problem and difficult learning will be required. Because this is a hyper-complex problem, different society, different people have a different perception of that. Even Trump, who is the President of the United States, don't buy that climate is really changing. It's hyper-complex problem because cause and effect are distantly related. What you are emitting greenhouse gas today, which will affect down the line 300 years later to our grand and grandchildren. Also, whatever in the Western world like United States and every nation, industrial nation who are emitting, that's also affecting those, for example, Bhutan, Nepal, who do not emit greenhouse gases. And there are emergent complexity like when these kind of processes reach to some tipping point, they give a lot of surprises and atmospheric biospheric interaction is already a surprise. So all in all, I spent a lot of time when I was in Norway. I was rather thin, computer was big. Now I have grown my belly, being well fed in Norway, but computer are. And what I'm doing sitting in that computer doing that, mainly looking at the third person experiences. And what is happening, I'm also checking my Facebook and so on in that moment. So my mind is wandering, mind wandering. And the study shows that it's a Harvard study that shows that 46.9% of our waking time is wandering around. We are not in the right where we are really. So that's the problem. And wandering mind is at a very individual level, is an unhappy mind. This is again published. So my question to you, sir, is how a selfish, unhappy and wandering mind can be a part of the solution? We need to think about that, okay? This is a question to all of us. Now, we are also becoming hyper-individualistic and forget about compassion, self-related preoccupation, everybody which is there today, and that definitely, of course, reduces the sense of compassion, pro-social behavior, and environmental behavior. So all in all, to my journey from Nepal to Norway, yes, achievement level, yes, I have achieved quite a lot. But can you say whether I am a mindful professor or mindful? The answer I can say for myself, only my mind is full of all these third-person kind of experiences, but I am yet to learn to be mindful. I was going around because only you focus on your achievement and not on fulfillment. Definitely you have to go around. What is the clue to the fulfillment, okay? How to control my wandering mind and all these kind of things. So for that reason, in last many years, I was going to different gurus, different kind of calls, more than hundreds, different kind of calls and learning and knowing how to really deal. I live in the richest country in the world like Norway with it. But still I see that the need of psychiatry and so on. So I went around different kind of gurus, I will talk about it in different places and getting experience not only from the gurus and so on, but also learned farmers, elderly people in Africa, Western Balkan, South Asia, all countries, and even meeting guru time to time. Then at least there was two advantages that I had in my life. I could really understand a little bit what is wrong and what can be done about it. And based on that, I wrote a book in Nepali language because here I understood that many youth are aspiring, they want to come to Norway or America or elsewhere, and actually vegetarian, you can see this effect in terms of greenhouse gas emission kind of thing. So this is one example, but we need a transformation in all sectors, about food wastage, to food production, to energy, and all of them. But most importantly, as long as the individual is not transformed, their worldview is not changed, which whether they are able to unleash their human potential or not, that is the question. Karin Abraham, which is my colleague, who is a professor in the University of Oslo, she said that yes, we need some kind of technical solution, transformation in the technical sphere, and also political sphere. But what is neglected so far is this personal invisible which embrace all of them. So my take on the transformation is that how to unleash our human potential to commit, care, and effect change for better life. This really requires a contemplative thinking. This requires our assumption to examine our thoughts, belief, sensation, many things. So in that journey, of course, I was looking for where I could go and learn during my sabbatical. So I went to Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, where that is the hotspot of some contemplative education, and learn like a student an entire semester to different courses, and we had the interaction workshop and so on. And these are some of my teachers. Everything is given in a contemplative kind of environment in Naropa University. But this contemplation is not just only meditation. There is a large trees, and in this conference, when people are giving some kind of workshop in arts and many other things, all these are included in this one. To make it again short, everything is celebration there. Learning is celebration, examination is celebration. Everything happens like this. And then what they do is also that we need to find our shadows, shortcoming, as you were telling yesterday, at a very individual level. Professor Balchandra brought chakra yesterday, and then there are other kind of approximately this involves visualization, this involves what kind of constraint we have. Professor Balchandra talked only about a little bit the positive side of the chakra, from survival to the humility and so on. But each of us have also negative tendencies. These are the energies and so on. And then in order to know what kind of constraint, what kind of obstacle we have, whether we are really greedy or not, whether we are angry or not, in order to know that experientially, then you need to do practice. It could be a chakra type of meditation or other kind of meditation, and different cultures have adopted different things. In Buddhism, they talk about this five Buddhas, both have both wisdom side of it, and if that same energy flows into the negative side, you have also other kind of things. So in order to know at individual level, in Naropa University, I was undergoing various courses and know where I feel a little bit of resistance, which kind of room. Okay, this I will not go through in greater detail. Then you can really examine, yes, I was getting a little bit resistant, a little bit uncomfortable in the yellow rooms, really, and that means that propensity, I know that that is problem in my being, so I have to be aware of that one. Because you have to make your shortcoming, your shadow, like a friend without hating, so that slowly you start, transformation happens. Like that, in those, if you chakra have a different color, directions, different element, and here also the same principle. So you have to do every day this kind of meditation. And later on when the exam comes, again it is kind of, this is something called warrior exam. Students sit and they challenge each other and everybody are listening. Okay, then they can bring first person experience, second person experience, and even third person experience. So that way examination becomes not a kind of stress factor but kind of celebration. So all in all, these are all mindful practices. There are different kinds of mindful practices. Mindfulness is not just meditating, mindful eating, mindful visualization, and volunteering is also mindfulness, different kind of thing. But one thing became very popular and a lot of publication today is followed by the John Kabat-Zinn. He brought something called, I believe, a Buddhist idea, but later on he fails to recognize that he said that Buddha was not a Buddhist. He said everybody can rediscover something and then present in a way. So that mindfulness movement has taken, and that kind of different kind of mindfulness intervention in the therapeutical context has been given there as a patented work. And today, mindfulness, where the science is really heading. If you look at the ISI Wave of Science or other kind of things, back in 2000 there are almost no publications in mindfulness, meditation or other kind of things. But today the research is growing, and even 2017 there were almost 700 refereed publications. That's a large pool of knowledge being produced. So this is getting more validity and so on. All in all, what this research are showing is that contemplative education supports the student for learning in terms of schooling of attention. There is attention disorder in our student today because of too much of information load. Every day they are exposed to 600-700 information load. When I was in that hill of Taplejung, Nepal, I was looking at everything around. The number of information load that time was maybe 60 or below that one, but now because of the internet and so on. Cultivation of empathy, discovering relationship, establishing equanimity of mind, and sustaining all this kind of concentration. And these are the scientists that they are there, and I had honor to know some of them when I was in the United States. Maybe they were received of this part of the world in their urban life, if you believe on that. But all in all, you know, how this mental training or contemplative education should lead to, that is for our well-being and inner perfection, and most importantly, when we talk about inner perfection, it can be further translated to ethical lives, because ethics is an activity of human directed to secure the inner perfection of his or her own personality or basic inner goodness. And an ethical life with cultivation of happiness, resilience, cheerfulness, courage, and many more is the way. Otherwise, if you are unhappy and say, oh, I am such an ethical person, it doesn't go that way. An unhappy person, I don't think actually in true sense he or she can be ethical. That's my mistake on that one. So finally, let's ask a question. What I want for me and my children today after all this journey. I want happiness, of course. Happiness is the goal of every other goal in life. I want resilience. Of course, compassion is very much needed, and cheerfulness, and so on. In all these aspects, contemplative education helps, which is shown by all these publications that I was reviewing when I was in my sabbatical. So let me just, happiness, people have talked around it. The research on happiness shows that, of course, money is important, but it may contribute to only up to 10% of your subjective well-being, and rest 40% is in your voluntary choices, your life choices. If you choose to have a very good human relationship, social relationship, that contributes to happiness. Like this longest studies on human happiness, Harvard study on human happiness, the 75-year-old, you can look at the TED Talks. Number one and final one word, the take-home message of that one is that if you want to be happy, you need to keep a very good social relationship. Period. And of course, in this world which is growing, dilemma, competition is growing, jealousy is growing, you need to be also resilient person. We must have that kind of resilience thinking. And that one also really, social relationship is required, appreciation, your sense of gratitude is required, value, you need to have some kind of spiritual life or some kind of looking to some kind of value is also important. You need to manage your emotional life, and most important, cheerfulness is also inbuilt there. But I would like to just end so a word on compassion. We are talking about compassion, but it's very, very important, and it becomes very effective when you cultivate these practices from the early life. I was looking at the TED Talks by Matthew Ricard, who talks about how to let altruism be your guide. I think he has used this publication, but the result from that one is here. In this work, what they have done is that they have chosen the preschools, or from kindergarten, I believe. They have given stickers to each of these kids. Please, you can give this number of stickers to, you can distribute yourself how much you want to give to the friend that you like, the friend you dislike, the unknown friend, and a sick friend. Before the intervention, this mindful intervention that was suitable for them, you see that most of them gave that sticker to the friend that really like it. But after 8 weeks of intervention, you can see that they have developed that kind of compassion, and that could give equally. They were also caring about the sick person, that person that they didn't like it, or the unknown person. So instead of money, putting money on this large money on this inter and intra-state conflicts, if they put some funding on this kind of work worldwide, this world will be a better place. Finally, for me, when I talk about contemplative education, it's not to be sitting and be very serious and then come out and without a smiling face. It has to be some kind of humor. And let me talk a few about the cheerfulness. In our wisdom tradition, the guru here in Nepal, in fact, the guru of our ancient kings and so on, Guru Goraknath, he has given one sutra called Hasiva Keliva Dhariva Dhyana. When you are doing contemplative things, you don't need to be serious. You can play lots of fun. Awareness is important. Okay? And when I see some of the very people that I have a regard for example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, wherever he goes, he tries to bring some kind of humor and cheerfulness. Okay? And then, in some conference, the lady was giving keynote or something, and she wanted to take photo with him. He was pretending to have hijab. You see, and I see that Cambridge has also developed that attribute. So thank you, sir. I learned quite a lot from you here. And there are, of course, this group knows that there is a longitudinal study in nuns, those cheerful nuns. We express cheerfulness in their diary. This was, I think, 20 or 30 years long longitudinal study. They survived 10 years longer. And also, if you are a cheerful person, from the beginning, if you have learned that one, if you don't have that skill, it can be also learned, then you can also have a better income. Back to when I was impressed by everywhere the Dalai Lama goes, he makes some kind of humor and joke. I was thinking, where I can find a person with a beard. I found one in Oslo, but he didn't have a sufficient beard, you see. And I was looking for where I can find a person with this good and long beard. I found in Naropa University, you see. And then he allowed me to play with that one. Finally, my work ahead is that I'm trying to bring these different things. The environmental science part, well-being part, and most importantly, the contemplative part in the education and my future research. Let's see, I need the blessing from all of you, particularly those enlightened people which are sitting me. But nevertheless, since 2017, we are bringing a course on personal transformation which heavily utilize different kind of contemplative studies, and this is the program that we have running in Nepal, where we teach personal transformation, and also in the Kathmandu University we are giving this course in collaboration with the Royal University of Bhutan. Finally, all in all, what we are trying to do is that our graduates should learn also use their heart, okay? Because without compassion, without altruism, without caring, sharing, then the world just, it will be a kind of academic exercise like I was doing. So be the change that you want to see in the world. With this, I thank you all, and learning should be about the having. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions. We'll take two.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very enlightening. One question just emerged in my mind. Being a guru yourself and so highly educated, could you please say the hardest thing you were kind of shattered that you had to approach different gurus? And what is that one thing that you came to conclusion is the most important thing? Thank you very much.
Thank you for this very nice question. Of course, in a country like Norway, you see winter is very harsh. People develop some kind of winter depression also, if you are particularly a vegetarian. But that may be a side reason. But I was also looking at those highly rich people and their life, and then I could see that, oh, something is lacking. It is not enough to be successful. We need to be good also. So that was how to be good, how to focus on fulfillment rather than achievement only. So that is my journey. And then in one occasion when I was in Serbia, I found a baker. It is by the way in the book Sansar Ek Parsala, which is outside there, and if very many people are asking about me, my journey, so that's there, you can get it outside, wherever. It is in Nepali, right? So all these things is described there. And what I have learned is that bliss or happiness is my nature. I have to discover in myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
One question, your level of consciousness, how you try to identify your gurus in different layers of consciousness, or what's your exploration of the gurus? Would you please unpack it?
Thank you very much. In fact, in my case, whoever came to Norway or whoever I found when I came to this part of the world or I went to Balkan, I was just a kind of random walk. You know, when I'm in an official mission to different places, whoever I found, I used every bit of that time. So there was no particular kind of tracing the guru or something. It happened to me, and I believe in synchronicity. Some guru I find right in the airport. For example, Pilot Baba, I have heard quite a lot of name about him. I was in the lounge in Delhi, but I was feeling some kind of restlessness for unknown reasons. When I came down, I found that one, and we developed some kind of relationship. So that way. And my approach to life sciences and spirituality is also open one. For me, guru are just a means. They are not the end. They are not the ultimate. They can just show you the way, but we have to walk. And I'm working and I'm in exploration. I myself is not guru. Thank you.